All right, welcome back to TML Weekly. This is episode 24, as always, presented by Bjorn and Don Cherry Sports Girl. So interesting couple games recently. The game last night against Carolina. John, you want to take it away?
Well, you know what? I said it on Coach's Corner when I was talking with Kara on our show that you know what? You just with this team, you never know what you're going to get. I understand it was a back-to-back game. I get it again, but that game was lost in the first period. The game was lost in the first 10 minutes. I watched that Oilers game, and that Oilers game was such a breath of fresh air. Holy cow. Did we look fantastic. There is absolutely everything to love about that game. We came out like as soon as the puck dropped, we showed that we were ready to play that night. There was no playing around. They understood the challenge that was in front of them. All four lines played well. There was depth scoring. A little bit of let up in the third on the penalty kill. I didn't love some of that stuff. I thought that was kind of, but maybe we were a little comfortable at that point in time. So you can let a little bit of that slide, I suppose. But man, that puck dropped in Carolina, and it was like, it was a long flight, and everybody was a little tired, and it was funny. We were down 1-0. We looked lazy. And I said to Kara, I said, you know what? I can't wait for the post game when the coach has lots of great things to take out of this game, lots of positives, and have everybody say, you know what? We tried hard. Just, it was tough tonight and whatever. Last thing I'll say before I hand it over to Johnny is the one thing that I think I hate right now is this team does not hate to lose hockey games. We're okay. If we lose, hey, yeah, you know what? We can take great things out of this. And I watch great teams. If you watched Edmonton's post game, they were pissed. They were angry about the way they played.
So Edmonton's a great team. Is that what you're saying?
No. That's not what I'm saying at all. But what I'm saying is they hate.
No, you said I watch great teams, and then you said Edmonton.
No. I'm making. Yeah, okay. Well, I'm making the point that good teams hate to lose, and if we're going to be honest, Edmonton has turned into one of the better teams in the league. But my experience with this franchise is that no one hates to lose on this team. The coach certainly doesn't hate to lose. We blow that game against Carolina in goal at the end of the second period with 38 seconds to go. 2 goals in the final minute and a half. And instead of being pissed that we lost that game and blew that game away, we got great things to take from it. Tavares comes out.
You have to. You got to be a pro here. What do you want to do? Get cry and
no, but I want you.
The second Carolina game was almost a flip of the first Carolina game. Okay, but the other way, right? Toronto came out heavy and well in the first one. Carolina turned it on late. Fortunately for them, they got some success and got the puck in the net. Toronto played a good second half of that game last night, a real good second half. So if I'm looking at it as a coach or a player or someone in that room, I'm saying, yeah, there's positives to take and there's negatives to take too, right? Now you got to figure out, what we got to do to get the guys to go on time. Sometimes it's the opponent too. Sometimes it's the rink. There's so many variables that can, Montreal's notorious for doing these long ceremonies pregame.
Pregame stuff. Yeah.
And Montreal's, and I wasn't paying attention, but at the beginning of the Carolina, but there's teams that do that, right? And they'll get you out of your routine by honoring the fucking team from 50 years ago that, and they're wheeling these guys out in wheelchairs, but all they're doing really is stalling. Hey, let's get a jump on them. We'll be ready. They won't. They're going to come out here and stand here for 23 minutes and get, rubber legs. And nobody ever wants to play a team that's honoring somebody that night. And it's not just because the team's going to be charged emotionally and, whatever, some of these, historic franchises. It's because their bodies, they eat at a certain time so when the puck drops at 7:06 or whatever it is, That's what they're used to. That's what so I don't know. And that's just excuses. But I think they're like we keep saying, you got a top 10 player in the world out, and you're competing with the big boys. You're playing pretty good hockey, Pretty. If you look over the last 15 games, I think I don't know what the record is, but it's certainly real good, right? Real good for a team that's missing some players and guys in and out with sicknesses. And speaking of Marner, I saw what Drager had to say today, which was interesting. That he, and I don't disagree. Like high ankle sprain. I talked to a guy yesterday, actually. He's a physiotherapist and he's one of Jack's coaches, and I asked him about it, and he kind of explained it to me. But it's you can't put any weight down on this foot, or it inflames the ankle or whatever, and it won't heal. Skating isn't necessarily pressure, right? You're kind of gliding out. So it makes sense that if they were, and I said this a couple weeks ago, if they were in a must-win situation right now to get into the playoffs, I think Marner's in the lineup, right? As long as they keep playing 500, 600, 700 hockey. Wait.
Interesting question. You just said we're playing great in our last 15 games. What do you think our record is? What do you think our record
I'm going to say I'm not saying that they're we're 13-2, but I'm saying 8, 4, 2, and 1 or something like that.
8 and 7.
Yeah. 7. Okay, 7 regulation losses or 7. Because that matters.
1 overtime loss.
Just 1?
Yeah, 8 and 6. 8 and 6 with an overtime loss.
8, 6, and 1. Yeah. So with your guys out, I'm okay with it. Right? They're locked in.
I guess my point. And we're not. I agree. We're locked in. My point here is that it's year 5 of this show, right?
Different team every year.
Sure. Okay, sure. Like the side pieces are different every year. I agree. The side pieces are different every year. The core guys are the same. And you know what? I heard Tavares at the end of the Carolina game say, it's a good reminder for us of how hard we need to compete against these kind of teams. That was what he said after blowing the Carolina game. And then I watched Tavares et al. Come out and just play not interested hockey in the first period. And I thought the total lip service that the captain gives at the end of the game, I'm not interested in hearing it anymore. It's year 5 of this, right? If you can't figure out how to get ready and tune up for these playoff games, because that's what this game was. This was a tune-up for a playoff game. Same as it was when we played Boston. Every single time we play these elite teams, there's always a reason. And that's what I find frustrating.
Yeah, you know what the reason is?
I'm dying to hear this.
They're elite teams. So a real good hockey club can limit the ability of the other team that's coming in, whether they're good or not, to start on time, so you say, right? There's variables there. Toronto can dictate part of it, right? But the way the other team plays too. So if another team, and it happens both ways. So Carolina elite team, totally agree. I think they're going to be. Gensel going there. Ooh,
they might be the best team right now.
He looks very good, and
they might be the best team right now.
Freddie Anderson looks the best I've ever seen him in his career. Like he was absolutely dialed.
I think the best team right now is the Nashville Predators.
They're good too.
13-0-2 in the last 15.
Right, and that's a team that wasn't.
I think
that's a team that wasn't making it.
Yeah,
that's a team that their coach canceled a concert.
The U2 concert. That's right, in Vegas, and everything kind of switched.
Yeah. But you know what? Barry Trotz in the GM seat there has done. He should be GM of the year, and
agreed.
And their coach should be coach of the year, Brunette. Well, I'm telling you right now, they were on paper
Sudbury guy, isn't he? Burnett's from Sudbury.
They got rid of everybody. Who?
Andrew Burnett. He's a Sudbury kid, isn't he?
I think he is. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's from Sudbury.
Yeah. He had a good career. He played there.
Listen,
But
going back to Freddie Anderson before we get sidetracked. Freddie Anderson, no one in their right mind will say anything negative about Freddie Anderson as a regular season goaltender in Toronto. Nobody will. The issue with Freddie Anderson, as was discovered by Carolina in their playoffs, was something that we all knew here. Freddie Anderson will make 7,800,000 million great saves and then let a floater in from the blue line at the worst possible time. That is the issue with Freddie Anderson. Nobody's knocking Freddie Anderson as a day-to-day.
I think the issue is his health, honestly. I think the issue with him is health. He hasn't been able to sustain health, mental health, maybe any goalie. That's an issue.
Yeah,
but he hasn't been able to stay healthy. Let's face it.
But listen, right? Johnny, let's go back to that Columbus. Do you remember the Columbus series? You know the goal I'm going to talk about, right?
Yeah.
Game 5 from the red line in the corner can't happen.
Yeah,
can't happen. And you know what? Not only it happened against Washington in the playoff the year before when we were all just getting excited about what was going to happen. Remember, Kasperi Kapanen scored that overtime goal against Washington, and everybody did a dance. And him and Janssen were going to be the next pair that were going to lead us to the promised land. Freddie Anderson, I like Freddie. Freddie is a regular season goaltender. You'll never win with Freddie Anderson. That's what I got to say about that.
Yeah.
UC Soros, on the other hand.
That's a good team. That's a good
UC
team.
Soros, on the other hand, that's a goaltender.
Yeah. Well, and we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about Ovechkin, because I pretty much wrote this guy off about 2 months ago.
What a comeback.
And I was like, he's probably not going to catch grabs, right? He may catch them next year. I think he gets 50 next year, 45 or something like that. He catches.
I mean, he's at 20. What it was something like 8 goals in his first 40 games.
Yeah, and 20 now in his last
15 last.
Yeah, like he's at 25 now, isn't he?
Good for him. I hope they do what's right with Washington and they, make some moves, get that team competitive, and really, I mean, he deserves it, But I think
they're in a playoff spot right now.
What's that?
They're in a playoff spot right now.
Which is amazing.
Leapfrog Detroit. Yeah. It's kind of. I want to see Detroit make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
listen,
it's a dog
fight. I'd rather see Detroit in the playoffs too, myself.
Yeah.
You guys want to move on?
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. Yeah. I said my piece. That's. You know what? It's no different. I just look at it as I wish there was a little bit of, after a loss, just guys getting pissed off. And I don't see it.
Yeah, but we don't see that. And you know what? It's happening. For sure.
I know.
And I think that's
John, I believe you. Listen, I just want to see it.
But you're not going to see it.
You see it on other teams.
Yeah, but you know what? They're trained. They're media trained now. When the camera's in front of them, it's okay. No emotion. Try not to. Certainly in the regular season, you're not going to see it. They're told not to. They don't want fucking fans panicking and things like that. You know who doesn't like to lose the most in that organization? You guys.
34.
Shanny. Shanny does. If you remember the way he played. So, we'll see. I'm optimistic going in. If they can get 16 back, I think a lot of Bobby McMahon has emerged. He's confident. He's getting put into positions to succeed, and he's succeeding when he's doing it. So right? He's looking now. He's an NHL hockey player now.
I agree.
Yeah,
and
he's going to be part of their team. They get him for 2 more years at $1.5 million or something.
Okay, so I'm really glad you brought this up because I think this is a great segue, Nolan. I'm almost positive you were going here next, but you just brought up that we're putting Bobby McMatthews in a position to be successful.
Yeah,
and isn't that the polar opposite of what we're doing with TJ Brodie?
Well, you're playing them on the wrong side for sure, but you get these guys injured, you get Lyubushkin out, which I get it. We were texting last night.
Lyubushkin's been here for 3 weeks. What are we talking about? He's been playing.
He was hurt. He missed a couple games, and Brodie went in.
Yeah, I understand that, but he's played TJ Brodie on that side basically since the beginning of the season. Like it.
Yeah,
it
but
shouldn't
when
take
when he
games.
made the trades over the deadline, he was back on his proper side
Listen, John. You're
until
missing my
LaBouche
point here.
went out.
You're missing my point. My point is, it shouldn't have taken us 60 games and all of last year where he looked out of place playing the right side to sit
So
there.
you think all of last year he looked out of place playing the right side?
Yeah. Yeah, he
No.
really did.
No, he played great.
No, he
He
didn't.
played great. Yes, he did.
No, he didn't. John, no, he didn't.
I thought he was great last year.
No, he wasn't.
I thought he was great. So, doing what you expect a TJ Brodie to do. I think he's got a good stick. He's not a heavy player. He doesn't hit real hard, but he gets in a good position. And I thought he was fantastic last year.
No, he struggled. Right? I thought he struggled last
year. This year, he's had a lot of
February on last year. He
has a lot of internal problems. There was some deaths and illnesses and blah 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 this year. So I think that has more to do with him not being able to play the right side than all of a sudden he forgot how to play the right side. He's played the right side half his career.
So
right.
But listen, when you get older, things fall apart easier. And the wheels can fall off a little bit quicker, right? All I'm saying,
but not so much for a guy like him. You know why? Because he always played positional and smarter as opposed to throw your body in there. But I mean, fair enough. We all lose a step when we get a little bit older.
And all I'm saying is, if you look at TJ Brodie, when you move TJ Brodie and he's playing a second pairing and he's not playing up on his offside against the team's first line, top units, if he's coming back and he's playing on his right side and he's playing against that second unit, TJ Brodie is an excellent second pairing defenseman on his side. He's an excellent defenseman.
Yeah. And like I said last night, I think he'll be a third pairing when they're all said and done going into the playoffs.
And listen, and John, and then he'll be even better. He'll be even better playing that time. All I'm saying is, you brought up the point of McMatthews being put in a position to be successful. All I'm saying is, I wish we did that with TJ Brodie. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
What would your pairings be going into the playoffs?
I think it's got to be Labushkin and Riley. You know who I love? I'm going to take heat for saying this, and I don't care. I really love the pairing of Edmondson and Liljegren because I've noticed since Edmondson has shown up, not only has Liljegren been visibly better moving the puck up the ice, you've seen an enhanced physical play from playing with Edmondson. And I love it. I don't want to see those guys broken apart. And so maybe I can't believe I'm saying this, but maybe McCabe and Brodie are your third pair.
Yeah, could be. Yeah, and then you still got. I mean,
Timmins.
There's depth.
Well, I mean, listen,
more depth this year than they've had on the back end in 7 or 8 years.
Anybody who thinks Connor Timmins is getting a sniff, it's never happening with this coach. This coach does not want Connor Timmins.
Yeah, but if you go three injuries deep, he has no choice.
It wouldn't surprise me to see somebody from the Marlies get called up over Timmins.
Maybe.
Put Nick Robertson on D.
Nick Robertson's never getting a chance to play.
No, he won't be in this lineup. And you know what? You know what? All he has to do is look at a guy like Bobby McMahon, who has half the talent, half the pedigree, right? Not a high draft pick. Was he even drafted? I don't think
was he drafted?
Undrafted.
No. Right? So that's all Nick Robertson has to do. And he wasn't getting 14, 18 minutes a night when he emerged. He started to do the little things the right way and finish hits and, do everything that's asked of him and be an energy guy. And then all of a sudden they realized they could shoot the puck. So now he's getting some reps in the offensive zone instead of D zone starts, right? And a couple go in. Now he's, getting a little swagger, and Matthews is helping him after practice with a release. And he's a regular NHLer now. You're probably not going to be able to keep this guy in 2 years because he's, I think he's going to be a 20-goal guy, 45 points.
And no, 100%, John.
right? So you're not going to keep him for 1.28 or whatever they got him for the next two.
But
he's going to be a $4 million hockey player coming out.
But listen, so here's an interesting thought. As the sole person on this panel who's a Nick Robertson fan, if you look at the comparables, right?
Yeah.
Nick Robertson is playing 11 minutes a game. 11 minutes a game. He's been shuffled in and out of the lineup. And sometimes he thinks he's playing, he's not. Then other nights he's not sure if he's playing, he's in the lineup. Some nights he's playing on the second line. Other nights he's playing on the fourth line. Guys are bouncing around. Sheldon's got him in a blender, whipping stuff up. His statistics, if you actually look at his performance, what he's generating, right now, he's played the same amount of time as Calle Jarnkrok. Nobody has a negative thing to say about Calle Jarnkrok, right? Outside of the fact that he hasn't been healthy. Everybody likes him. He can move up and down the lineup. He can play wherever. Nick Robertson has more goals than Calle Jarnkrok, right? Yeah. If you look, Nick Robertson has more goals than Max Domi. If you look at Tyler Bertuzzi's number, Tyler Bertuzzi has played 65 games. He's got 14 goals. Nick Robertson's got 10 and 40. So all I'm saying to the everybody who's anti-Nick Robertson because the coach is anti-Nick Robertson, if you gave Nick Robertson some coaching and some development, I'm telling you, Nick Robertson can be a good hockey player for this team. He'll never get the chance with this coach. I'm just telling you, I believe in him.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? Depending on what happens in the playoffs and their opponent and thing, you know, if they need to, he's got to take advantage of his he'll do something brilliant for a shift, is what I see almost every game. He'll be like, oh my God, that guy's so good. But then he's quite often very soft on the puck. He can get pushed around a little bit. He gets stick checked quite often. You'll think that he's about to make a play. And that doesn't always cost you. It's not like he's, throwing a pancake up the middle and the guy's grabbing it and going and scoring. But every shift, it's kind of like when the bonehead. What did he do there the other night? I know he did.
Oh
something.
Yeah,
It's just that kind of stuff, right? It's that kind of stuff.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
And those are the things that make a coach nuts. I don't care if you score a goal for me every game. I
feel like you probably do.
You can't keep the puck, and I don't know. I just don't think he may be an NHL player. He may be an NHL player in another uniform. I don't know. For the kid's sake, I hope he can figure it out. And if he gets an opportunity to play in the playoffs, that's his opportunity. That's going to be his last opportunity here. Well, if he gets a chance to go out, he's got to. And you always talk about playing 60 minutes. Well, that goes for individuals as well.
100%.
Because he'll go out and have 4 good shifts and 6 shitty shifts in a game.
Now, listen. I'm going to say something that's not going to surprise anybody. I think that is, again, I go back to coaching. I think he's terrified of making the mistake because he knows he's coming out of the lineup. And I think when you're a young guy who knows he's on his last chance, his second last chance, and every single time you make a mistake, listen, how many times have you heard the coach come out and talk about Tavares when he's gone on a 15-game goalless streak and go, yeah, but he's getting chances.
Yeah.
Robertson makes a mistake, and it's, you know what? This guy's got to focus on his back checks, playing the defensive zone. He's on blast all the time. So again,
he makes a lot of mistakes.
Well, listen, but again, I'm just showing you the difference in Tavares cannot score 5-on-5 from Sweden till the middle of February, and the coach, he's getting good opportunities and he's a leader and he wins faceoffs. He makes one mistake and he's on blast and he's out of the lineup for 4 games. And then they put him back in.
He doesn't make one mistake, John. I just said his mistakes are not as evident to the casual viewer that is watching and looks at the stat line and it says Nick Robinson's got a goal and a helper in 9 minutes on the ice, right? But dig deeper, and it's not always on the stat line either. It's a route he took. It's a back check. It's an angle that he took, when he's trying to, create some back pressure, and he makes a lot of mistakes in a hockey game, right?
Yeah, I agree.
And a guy like Bobby McMahon, like we said, no comparable between the two as prospects coming into the Toronto Maple Leaf organization.
No.
But Bobby McMahon would have less ice time than Robertson, probably, or similar, I guess, over the first part of the season. But he didn't make those mistakes. When he had the puck, it got out. When he had the puck deep, it got deep, right? And then he all of a sudden now he's getting some touches and some opportunities, and he took advantage.
Listen,
right?
I am not John. I am not going to take a single thing away from Bobby McMatthews. And by the way, for everybody listening, I know his name is Bobby McMahon. I am calling him Bobby McMatthews because he scores like Austin Matthews. So that's just for the record. But Bobby, listen, I'm not taking a darn thing away from that kid. That kid has earned absolutely everything that he's got. And listen, the coach is clearly a fan. So,
yeah,
good on him. I'm just saying, in my estimation, that I can see reasons why Nick Robertson is having issues, but I can also see when given the opportunity, I like what I see from Nick Robertson, and I think he deserves more of a shot.
So yeah, and I respect that. If you and I've said this before in this show and other shows.
No, I know you have. It's
a business of winning. It's a business of winning. And if I'm a head coach at any level, I'm going to put the people in my lineup that are going to give me the best opportunity to win. Sheldon Keefe isn't going to, I don't like Nick Robertson, so I'm going to keep him out, even though I know that he is going to help us win. He doesn't think he can help them win. So it's not, I don't like him. It's
another reason he's a terrible coach.
No, lots of coaches are like this.
I know. I'm just blaming.
Most coaches are like this, right? You put a guy in that you can't stand if you know that he's going to give you a better chance to win tonight, right? That's what it's all about. Like, you can't control the 50 contracts that are protected by your team as a head coach in the National Hockey League, but you have those options at your disposal. And if you want to keep your job, you're going to try to find that mix of guys to move forward. And that, it's nothing personal. I don't know whether it's a work ethic thing, because I've heard he's likable. The guys like him. I haven't heard that he's a slacker or he's, that kind of stuff. And you're right. A lot of times people make mistakes because they're afraid to make them, right? You grip your stick a little tighter and
100%.
I don't want to try anything fancy because I'm going to get yelled at when I'm, coming back down the ice. But anyway, I hope for the kid's sake that, whether it works out for him here or he ends up somewhere else, I hope if he gets a shot in the playoffs, he takes advantage of it. What do we got next, Noel?
Just going to ask you guys, who do you think is going to start in the playoffs?
Changes every week.
Wow, eh?
Yeah.
So
what about Matt Murray?
Oh,
yeah. Would you guys like to see him come back?
Matt Murray is like COVID-19. Every time you think you're done with Matt Murray, he just comes back. It's like Matt Murray is like Matt Murray Omicron. You know what I mean? He's here again. Listen, if Matt Murray comes back, Matt Murray will, and I'm saying if he comes back, he'll go down on a conditioning stint. He'll play for the Marlies in the playoffs. And then Rob, that young guy who's 63 feet tall from getting any experience because, we'll play a veteran, because that's what the Leafs do.
Right.
For me, if I had to go with a guy that I trust in net, it's going to be controversial, but Joseph Woll is my goalie.
I don't disagree. He came up through the organization, right?
I will preface this by saying this. I applaud Ilya Samsonov for coming back and battling the way he has. I do. I have full marks for him. I'm thrilled for him. I wrote him off. So I personally, I'm happy that the kid's come back and shown that he can compete and do a good job. What I have seen from Samsonov in the last few games, not when he was on his hot streak, when he first figured it out there and he was back for about 7 or 8 games and like just playing stellar, he's starting to swim again, and his angles are off, and he's over committing on angles and sides, and too often he's making it more difficult for himself than it needs to be. And if you watched that Carolina game last night, say, like, aside from the fact that he had 43 saves and looked the part, Joseph Woll is steady in net. He plays big. He's at the top. He makes himself wide. He's got good lateral movement. He comes across. And above all else, the one thing I love about Woll is there's no panic in his game. He's
pretty cool.
You know what I mean? There's not a lot that's going to phase the kid. For me, if I had to pick right now and I had to commit, Joseph Woll's my starter.
I wouldn't have to commit right now. So what I'm doing is I'm going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth for the rest of the season, and use that data to, and see, like, I would go in and say, okay, let's look. Is it Boston? What's Sammy's record? And then I would tell them both, hey guys, you win, you keep going. You lose, we're going the other way. So.
Listen, there may be merit to. Okay, so let me ask you. I'm not even necessarily saying that's a bad idea, John. Like, You know what? Fair question. Does Martin Jones get another start this year?
Yeah, I think he will. I mean, you got to be protective, right? Like, there's a thin line between everything going well for you and not, right? And the goaltending, that position is very vulnerable in the playoffs because everything is
magnified.
That extra shoulder. So yes, you don't want your third option to haven't played a game in 6 weeks, right? You want your third option to have played last Thursday night in Denver or whatever, right? You want that. And I don't. Is he waiver exempt? Jones?
No.
Jones, no.
Like, I would almost, if I could, send him down to the Marlies, but you can't. I don't think that somebody would take him.
So maybe do we start Martin Jones tomorrow?
Who's
Samsonov? Remember, Samsonov came out of the game the other night against Edmonton, and they're saying he's fine. And let's say he is, right? Worst case scenario, it's not going to hurt Samsonov to have an extra couple days. Right?
Oh, for sure. I'd certainly back. I would probably play Woll and back up with Jones at this point. But I would definitely. The question was, would you? I would have Jones in at least one more time before the end of the season, closer to the end of the season.
Okay,
right? Because you want that gap between the last time he played, but you got to get these other two guys going, right? It's tough because you want to get them as many starts. But yeah, I mean, who is it tomorrow night? Who do they got?
New Jersey tomorrow.
So Jersey, Washington. Who else? Jersey, Washington,
Buffalo, and Florida.
Florida wins. Florida Monday.
Next Monday.
Monday.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, you got 4 teams. Well, Buffalo's still kind of making noise.
And Buffalo plays us hard regardless. Buffalo could be the worst team in the league.
Do we have Philly again?
Okay.
Do we have Philly again?
Maybe in April.
No. Who did you say tomorrow night?
New Jersey.
We got New Jersey like 3 times, I think, between now and the end of the season.
Yeah. So Jersey, Buffalo. Who else?
New Jersey, Washington, Buffalo, Florida.
Wow.
And then Tampa.
And Buffalo always plays you tough. So let's do our predictions on that. I'm going to go out on a limb and say, this is a tough one because I'm going to go 6 again. All right. 6 out of 8.
John?
Okay. So Jersey, send a shout out to Travis Green. I love to see Travis Green behind the bench. I think the world of Travis Green. I loved him when he was here. Loved him in Vancouver. I thought he got a raw deal there. I'm glad he's back behind the bench in Jersey. I think we can beat New Jersey. Dougie Hamilton's out. They got some injury stuff going on. So I like us to beat Jersey. I'm not going to take us against Buffalo. I think we can beat Washington. And I am going to pick 6 out of 8 points. And I'm going to take us to beat Florida because I want us to show that we know that game is coming up and we're going to be ready to play that game. To me, like the other 3 games this week, if we lose all 3 games, I don't care. Like, if I'm being honest, do I want us to win those games? I do. Florida's the game I'm looking at here right now.
That's a big one. Yeah,
I want us, you know what, especially after laying eggs against Boston and looking lackluster against Carolina. Florida is, a team that we could conceivably be getting in the playoffs. I just want us to be ready. That's it. That's my wish for this week, man. I just want us to show up and be ready to go against Florida. That's it.
Right.
What do you say, Noel?
Before I get my pick, I just want to let you guys know I'm on a 3-game. I'm on
Oh,
3
here he
weeks,
is.
3 straight weeks that predicted correct amount of points.
I
So throw it out there.
I saw that Instagram post go out.
Yeah.
3rd week in a row with the correct predictions. I saw that one.
I let them know.
Good for you, brother.
So the right answer is going to be 5 points this week, and I'll keep you guys posted. Not sure who they're going to come against. Probably lose against Buffalo, and then lose to Florida in overtime. Beat the Devils and Caps.
Johnny, we've created a monster here, right? The correct answer is as follows.
So I'm going to give you guys and our viewers and listeners a little story here to end the week. How's that? You guys ready for a story?
Okay, but before we get to the story,
yeah,
there was an interesting post that it came out maybe about an hour and a half or so ago about former Philadelphia Flyers goaltender Carter Hart signing with one of Vlad's favorite teams.
Not signed yet, but certainly you're working on a deal.
Boys, what do we think about a goalie who's not eligible to play in the NHL signing contracts elsewhere?
Well, I think it's a bad look. Obviously, the allegations against these 5 young men haven't been proven in court. I certainly believe in innocence until proven guilty, but with the sensitive nature of and the media attention that's on this, my first question was, and I know one of them, and I don't even want to mention these guys by name because I don't want to give them that at this point, but one of them, there was a bad look right after his lawyer was in court in London and did the plea, and then he's on the beach in St. Thomas or something like that.
Not a good look.
Tweeting pictures. So my first question is what's wrong with our judicial system when we have these 5 young men with very serious charges, that have alleged to have happened. Here's my problem. Why do they have their passports? You know what I mean? Like, there's countries that don't do extradition. A lot of these young men have a lot of money, right? So if I want to
set for life, generational,
$4 or $5 million in the bank, and I want to disappear, and I can go on Google and say what countries do not extradite to Canada. Oh, here's a list in alphabetical order, and now we'll do our research and figure out where we can go, and live in a hut on the beach for the rest of our lives and never have to deal with this again. So that to me, and I agree with you. The lawyers, they're not flight risks. They're public figures. I get that. My big problem here is that the KHL, and this team in particular, keeps doing stuff like this, right? You'll get these guys that'll be up on whatever charges or done some questionable things, or some other guys that have signed in the KHL that were blackballed or blacklisted or whatever you want to call it over here. I would think twice about sending my son or someone close to me to the KHL at all, because are these the type of character people that you want to be involved with the youth coming up through the sport? And I don't know, it's a bad look, I think. I
think it's notable that we're not talking about the Swedish Elite League.
No,
we're not talking about the Finnish League, the Swedish League, the German League, the Dutch, like we're not talking about any of those leagues. So listen, I understand that, and as a show, we try and stay away from the political stuff. But with everything that's going on in the world right now in that sphere of the globe, man, I just part of me is not surprised. And
I'm not surprised.
And the worst part of
shocking to me.
The worst part of all this is when I saw this, I thought, above all else, this is a horrible look for Carter Hart. Above all else, because
is it though? Because I thought about it long. You know what? I'll speak devil's advocate on that.
Yeah.
Okay? So all these kids are obviously proclaiming they're innocent. They all pled not guilty. Yeah. So is this Carter Hart's way of saying, okay, I'm not guilty. I didn't do anything. I might have walked into that. We don't know what happened, right? Is this Carter Hart's way of saying, I have to play if I want to continue my career in 3 years or 4 years, whenever this trial's done, because it ain't going to be in 6 months, right? So, and I get that from Carter Hart's camp. I really do. He's saying, I didn't do it. I don't know what he's saying, but he pled not guilty.
Yeah.
So I have to, if I don't play hockey
for 2 years,
for 2, 3, 4, you don't know. I mean, they're going to have
He's done. He's done. Nobody's touching him. Even if he comes back from this, even if he gets found not guilty, with the stuff that's going to come out in trial, as well as I do, no NHL organization is going to touch him. They're not. He's radioactive. Carter Hart is let's be honest. Let's call a spade a spade. Carter Hart is a good goaltender in the NHL. Young guy, lots of potential, right? There are going to be, in the next 4 or 5 years, 3 or 4 years, 2 or 3 years, a boatload of other goalies that are going to come up. They're going to be really young, have a lot of great potential. And you know what? It's no different than a guy that gets injured and can't get back in the lineup. It's the same difference.
Yeah.
Except this way, he is radioactive.
I don't disagree, but if he turns around and says right now, and sells his equipment and gets fat and, doesn't look after himself, I think the message that he would send was, going to jail anyway.
Yeah, but
pack it in, right?
For me, I'm just saying, for me as a hockey fan, and again, I've got no opinion on Carter Hart, right? I've got no opinion on him. For me, as a kid who grew up in this country, to see what's going on in the world, and that's where you're taking your money from, I don't know. You've already acquired generational wealth. There are other ways you can stay active in 2024. You do not have to go to the mother Russia to figure this out. That's my only
option to play hockey. They wouldn't touch them in Sweden or Switzerland.
That's my point, though, John. For me, it's a bad look.
I get it from his. I don't think it's as bad of a look from the Carter Hart and the Carter Hart camp as I do in the KHL, because I didn't do anything. I shouldn't have been involved. They're wrong. That's what the rhetoric is, right? So for him to say, hey, I just want to play hockey because when I get found innocent, I want to be at the top of my game, and my best option for that right now is the KHL. So I don't mind the look from the Carter Hart side. I mind the look that, these people want to win so badly that they, they would associate themselves with this kind of behavior and what's going on over there too, right? This is just the kind of stuff that, when you hear, the Russian doping scandal and, kicked out of the Olympics and stuff like this, it's based on poor decisions, right? Yeah. And this is a very poor decision. That's not a good look for the KHL, Russia, right? It's just not. So, but I will get to my story now. But yeah, story time with Uncle John. Okay, so I saw And it reminded me. I saw that they're quite possibly doing a remake to Happy Gilmore. Okay. So what?
A sequel.
Yeah, it's a sequel. Yeah. Yeah. So it's, they're probably on the senior tour or whatever. Shooter McGavin, the actor that played Shooter McGavin, has been tweeting, and there's been, a little bit of play going on. So it's funny. I didn't know this. So I played with the guy that Happy Gilmore character was based on. But I didn't know it when I played with the guy. And I played briefly with him in Norway. So the player's name is Kyle McDonough. Okay. You look him up when you get off the air here. Okay. So Kyle McDonough was the younger brother of an NHL player for the New York Islanders named Hubie McDonough. You remember Hubie McDonough?
I have a hockey card of Hubie McDonough.
Right. So Hubie and Kyle brothers. Hubie's in the NHL. Kyle was a little smaller. He played, I want to say, at Vermont or New Hampshire, one of the Hockey East schools, and then ended up in Norway. We were on the same team for a bit. Good hockey player, he was solid over there. He's, probably top 5 in league scoring, and had a brother played in the NHL. So anyway, played with him. Good guy. Might have played 10 games with him or something like that, and then I got moved or whatever. So then he. Don't hear anything else. He never went anywhere after that. Couple of guys, kept going. He kind of ended and, probably went back home and got a real job. He's an American kid. So Happy Gilmore comes out, what? When was that?
93, 95, somewhere around there.
Not long after I played with this guy. Okay. So watch the movie, love it. It's a cult movie. We all love it. Then I see an Adam years later, maybe 4 or 5 years later, I see an interview with Adam Sandler about Happy Gilmore, like on YouTube or something, an older interview. And he, what was your inspiration behind this film? Hockey fan, Boston Bruins, blah, 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 blah. And said, well, I went to prep school in New Hampshire, and I had a kid, and he was a hockey player. He was an ice hockey player. He wasn't very big. He wasn't big as all of us. And we would, it's a private prep school, rich kind of stuff. And they would go golfing. And he says, and we were all, we played in junior programs and clinics and things like that. We were all pretty good golfers. And we were big guys. And he goes, we would hit the ball. And then this little hockey player would step up and smash it like 100 yards further than us. And he would walk up to it and hit it, and he'd no form, whatever, just would smash this ball. And so he started talking to me. He goes, so anyway, he ended up playing, university, D1 hockey, and he went and did a little stint in Norway and another country in Europe. And so then when I hear Norway, I went, he was it's just Kyle McDonough, right? So that's who Happy Gilmore was based on. Was this guy that I didn't know this one. I mean, that would have been awesome to know then, right? Because that would have been right when the movie came out. But
that's awesome.
Little story time with the coach.
That is awesome. That's a great story.
All right. Well, hey, you guys have a good week. I say, John, just keep your blood pressure medication on close, and you'll be all right.
Yep. And listen, just for anybody that is a college basketball fan, I am a diehard UNLV Running Rebels fan. And UNLV is into the 3rd round of the NIT in college basketball. They play Seton Hall on Wednesday. Yep. So it's like it's 1992 all over again. Seton Hall is playing Vegas. It's going to be fantastic.
It wasn't the NIT in 92, though.
Hey?
It wasn't the NIT in 92.
No, it wasn't the NIT. Listen. We're just happy we're making any tournament postseason. Yeah. We won for the first time on Wednesday last week for the first time since 2006. First time we won a postseason game. So shout out to UNLV, Kevin Kruger and the boys. Go get them. Go Leafs, go.
Yeah, have a good week, guys.